up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes, and today's special guest, let me tell you, it is an honor to have this woman. She is a griot, a performance artist, author, composer, singer, and an elder. And we're about to get some wisdom from an elder right here. So I want you guys to tune in and listen to this woman because she has much knowledge to share with us. It's Nana Camille Yarbrough right here on The Frequency. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes, and I don't know if you can tell how excited I am to have this guest on right now. I mean, knowledge is power, and we need the wisdom of our elders, especially at this, these times today. And I am so honored to have this guest. This is Nana Camille Yarbrough. Welcome, Nana. Welcome.
Thank you. You're showing me when I had my fro.
That's right. We're going to get into that too. I want to talk about natural
I'm trying
hair.
to get it back.
You're trying to get it back?
Yeah.
I've been having locks for a while. They're just kind of like, they're hanging in there. They're hanging in there for a moment. How are you feeling today?
I'm very pleased to be with you on Frequency today.
I am so honored to have you. Let me tell you, there's so much that I want to get into. But first, I want the audience to know you, a little bit better. I'm sure some people are aware of your knowledge, but I want to get into your background, like, because you have such a strong sense of consciousness and community. And I want to know, like, where that came from. Where did you grow up, and how did you, become this woman that you are today?
I was born this time and raised on the south side of Chicago.
Wow.
It's a place that seems to grow people who have a certain consciousness, forward looking. And I've always been aware of my surroundings. I'm number 7 in the count of 8 children.
Wow.
My father from Alabama, and much of what I write has to do with him right now because of what he brought, having grown up in the 1800s in Blackton, Alabama. He brought here to Chicago, a lot of the pressure, the damage. Growing up watching him and wondering what had happened to him to make him so angry caused me really to go into research. So just talking about growing up in Chicago, a lot of gifted people in Chicago, and the energy, the music that is there. When I was growing up, there were people selling groceries, selling vegetables who sang. They sang the man who was selling, if they were cutting scissors, or if you wanted some groceries, you got it because somebody was coming up the street in a wagon, and they would tell, I got sweet corn, I got black eyed peas, I got all of them. Right, it was singing. And so that was influential. And then there was lots of music as I was growing up, very close. At that time, because of the racism, many of our people were not allowed into the hotels. Our artists, like when Lena Horne came and Duke Ellington came, they had to go into the community because they could not register into the large hotels downtown. And there was a theater on the south side of Chicago called the it was like the Apollo in New York City.
Right.
And I would be there, we would be there because we'd see all of our great artists there. So they influenced me a great deal. But there's a spiritual thing that has guided me all of my life.
Right.
It has protected me when I went into show business and traveled around the world with the Catherine Dunham Company, which was the greatest company of Afrocentric performance at that time, there were many dangers, but I was protected. And I'm
Right.
saying that because many of my friends who experienced the same thing did not survive them. So I'm trying to say in my writing, there's always a spiritual energy that is there that has kept me close to the community. What I write
Right.
is focused on our people, people of African ancestry. And it's interesting that right now that story of our people is trying to be erased. And that's
Erased.
one
Yes.
reason why the artists are so important now. It is necessary because they have face. They're out there on television. You can see them. It's
Yes.
necessary for them to speak about our culture just as our people did before. We talk about Lena Horne as a singer, but she also was conscious of what's happening to our people and what around the world, but others were too.
Right.
Harry Belafonte made his entrance when I was still in high school. And
Oh,
the fact that he went to, I was south side of Chicago, I knew about the blues, I knew about gospel, I knew
right.
about
Right.
the street singers, but I did
Did
not
you
know
sing in the
about,
church choir? Did you sing in the church choir?
I sang at school, in school choir. I did not sing in the church choir. But as I
Okay.
was singing in the school wait a
Choir.
minute, let me get this. I sang in the school choir, but I was in the Catholic church and they were singing those particular traditional songs. And I always wanted to put a beat in there. I
Right.
wanted,
Right.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. I wanted to do that, but I couldn't do it. So it wasn't until later on that I began to sing. Am I going covering too many things at
No,
once?
no, no. This is perfect. This is perfect because I want it's flowing right into, your music.
Mhm.
So I guess that whole influence, growing up in Chicago and all those people you just so had to influence you to be an activist, of course, with Harry Belafonte and Lena Horne.
Yeah,
And then go ahead.
it started before that. It started
Start
when as I said, I mentioned my father, and I was wondering why he had anger the way he did. And then I looked around, and it wasn't just my father. It was
right.
people of African ancestry who
Hmm.
was there were I had an older sister who was engaged to a brother who was from Mississippi, and he came to Chicago, got better work, saved his money, brought a car, a white car, a Cadillac, as a matter of fact,
Cadillac.
and drove back down to Mississippi. We all told him, don't do that. He did it, and he was shot. They said he was driving in a car with a white woman. The white woman was his sister, who was lighter than he was. He was light. But there were things that were very close to us. The
Yeah.
people who were being killed were, and just like today,
Yeah.
it's a similar thing on a different level. But I learned by living in our community, by
Hmm.
watching our people, how we were living, and wondering why. And so I began to write. I
Hmm.
didn't do it publicly because I was in particular, a very quiet child. As I said, I was 7 in the line of 8.
Right.
And I was wondering, I was watching my family, my larger family, and trying to figure out what I could do to make things better. And it
Mm.
started at a very early age. So by the time I was in high school and Harry Belafonte made his entrance as they call him a folk singer, but he was more than that.
Right.
Then said, oh, yes, we are everywhere. We're in the Caribbean. I did not know about us in the Caribbean.
Hmm.
And then the reading was there. I was in the library. Uh,
Right. I love the library.
Discovering our people. It was fun, but it was also, one time I felt like a balloon rising because the more that I read, the freer I became, read about
Right.
our people. And so that's been my focus to write
How
about
do you
our. our story. I'm sorry.
Right, to write about our story. I was going to ask you, how do you feel about them banning books right now? So that's my love for the library too.
Yeah, it's a continuation. There's a system of oppression that is still here. It has brought us here,
Right.
Built a country off of our labor, and it's still here. And the stronger we get, the more resistance we get from them. So why do you want to stop history? Why do you want to stop that story? I think they feel guilty because what they have done to us and other people, but mainly us during in slavery. And also, I think they're ashamed of what they've done, what they did. And they don't want their children to read that they enslaved people, that they lynched us as a people. And they don't want their children to see that. But we must tell the truth. We can't tell part of the truth and not tell the whole truth. And what we have given to this country and to the world is so magnificent. I'm thinking sometimes I listen to our music, not our music, but music, and I said something wrong. What happened to the blues? What's happening to soul? You see everything else now, but really the deep, powerful culture that we invented and then shared with the world, and that somehow is being submerged, it's being changed. When hip hop came out with the Young Brothers creating it, and singing about social issues. That was important. That's tradition. But then those, they should call them in suits, but those who run the system said, no, this is too strong. Because there was a time when we couldn't go into drugstores, we couldn't go and try on our clothes in the store, we couldn't buy, we couldn't sit and eat. And some of our young brothers in the colleges said, we're not going to accept this anymore. So they went and sat into Walgreens, which they were forbidden to do. And it started a whole movement. The brothers started, then in the South, the movement was going there. And I think when hip hop.
Wait. I have to interrupt you right there because we got to get into it, because you are known as the foremother of rap. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get into that. Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yes. Go ahead with yourself.
Right back. We'll be right back on The Frequency with Nana Camille Yarbrough right here.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Welcome back to The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes, and our special guest, Nana Camille Yarbrough. Nana, please join me because we have to talk about hip hop. November is Hip Hop History Month. Yeah. And I'm so honored to have you because you started to talk about hip hop in particular. And I completely agree with you about how the social issues that were once, prevalent in hip hop, very much in the forefront, have now been drowned out by a lot of different sounds, different noises.
Right.
I want to first go into the fact that you are known as the foremother of hip hop, or the foremother of rap.
Right.
How did you get that?
I was just taking care of my business. I was involved always in our tradition. I had the opportunity to go to the continent, motherland, several times. But before that, I had done my research, I had done my reading, and it is traditional in most of the cultures in coming from Africa. The tradition of the storyteller is very strong. And they use different devices, styles to tell the story. One of them we call rap is simply based on praise names, praising. Right. And that's why the song that that I wrote called Take Your Praise has caught on with another kind of emphasis. But when you praise something, the thing was to name it. It's just like when I wrote my book, Cornrows, the important part there, one of them is to name the braids. And they would praise by repeating something. And so learning from that, I just began to do some of what you heard. You played at the beginning when I was ASCAP, when I was performing. But I knew simply I'm a perception changer. You're a rearranger. You're a mind evolver and a problem solver. You're a beast eater, a soul excreter, a void filler, and a bile spiller. You are a thought warmer, a plan former, a power orchestrator, and a tongue translator. You're a keeping on keeper, a reaping on reaper, a co-op stopper, and a cover dropper. And that kind of repetition, the rhythms that went on with it, I was doing back in the 60s. And then in the 70s, as part of I was doing colleges. Right. And so that's how it started with me, that repetition and rhythm is so important. We have made the quality of our music, much of it depends on the rhythm there. And so it was heard. It was heard by students at colleges. It was heard by everybody as I did it. And I suspect that it sort of influenced some people. No doubt. It was a joy because people, yes, you can praise people that way. You can put it on your mother, your father, your friends, a politician. You can do about yourself. And a lot of it was about themselves, but it wasn't ego tripping that way. I'm a perception changer because I am helping the community. I'm a perception changer. I'm a rearranger. If things are not right, I can rearrange it. You can rearrange it. I'm a mind evolver, which means you grow and you are a problem solver. You're a beast eater. Nothing is going to conquer you. You understand? So that is praising, breaking it down that way. And we need more of that. Unfortunately, those who control the music industry did not want those young brothers and that trend to grow. Right. And so it has been written on television that some of the people who were directing in rap went to the world of what do you call it, pornography. And brought from there tits and asses. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So they said strip club.
There you go.
The strip club industry. They brought it into the hip hop world.
Into the hip hop world, and they had such influence that they would go and get some youngsters who wanted to be successful. They wanted influence them to bring in these words, the nigger word, Do they really know the history of that word, the origin of that word? I cannot, every time I hear it, I cringe, because if you do your history, you see that there were people right now go to see a football game by the thousands. There used to be by the thousands go to see a lynching of Black people, as every one of those thousands of people were calling the name Black nigger, no good nigger, low down nigger, ignorant nigger. And so that was spoken in such a way and followed by physical violence, that it was said that, okay, a lot of our young generation over the years began to think of themselves as this nigger. Not all of them, but enough to influence the next generation. But it has been said, and I'm sure it's true, that those who run the business wanted to sell. As a matter of fact, I visited a college not long ago talking about rap. And the college was, the class was mostly European Americans. And I asked them, why is it that the songs, which are the most violent that we are doing, that have the word nigger in it, why is it that you buy most of that music?
It's most appealing to them. Right.
It's most appealing to them. Why?
What were their answers? Did they have a response?
They did not say a word. They just looked at me.
Guilty.
Until the class was over. Then two of them came to my desk and said, there's something missing in our culture, in their culture. There's something, and they were talking about emotion. They were talking about deep soul. They were talking about the way our young people, our blues singers, related to emotion and affection and love. It was deep. And at that time, Aretha was coming. Aretha was here. There were other of our singers who, in the quality of their voices, gave you spirituality. I mean, I know I came through a lot of difficult times listening to Aretha. She helped me through those times.
Absolutely.
But that's what happened during enslavement, when our people created what was called spirituals. They were speaking. Those were protest songs. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. Talking to those who oppress them. You telling us about Christianity, but you're killing us. So it's about telling truth. There are many of our singers, especially in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, who were really soulful. And those white students liked that.
Right. And they were influenced by it.
They were influenced by it, but they wanted the excitement because we were caricatured as being oversexed and over violent. And so they liked that excitement and they would buy those records. Our artists were encouraged to make them, to make songs that had certain violence in them, certain crudeness in them. And unfortunately, a lot of our younger people, because they wanted success and they wanted the money, began to do that. And
this is like so different from your coming up when you made your album, the Iron Pot Cooker, right? Yeah. What inspired you to do that?
That what you're showing there is the second album. That's the one.
The second album, yes, the Ancestor House, which I love too, also. But the Iron Pot Cooker for me, it touched on a lot of things that you talked about earlier too, the anger, the things that were happening in the community. I mean, you have some beats on there. There's some samples. I mean, I don't know how you feel about sampling, but there's a couple of things that I definitely want to try to work with the music. But most notably, Praise You was used by Fatboy Slim.
That's right. He named it Praise. And as long as that praise gets international, that's what I'm happy with. The first album, The Iron Pot Cooker, was highlighting the damage that had been done to us. I wanted our people to see, but it comes out mad. Why does it come out mad?
That's my favorite.
Yeah. And we have to think about, why are we relating to each other in anger rather than most of the time we challenge each other when we meet. What you doing? What I'm doing? What you do? I know you like this. And now it's the mean girl thing. Well, we've had that a long time. Right. But that was dedicated to highlighting, but it comes out mad, lonely feeling. I'm talking about the other thing about our men being in prison, most of the, so we're missing we're missing that part of our community, our children, and then the women, Little Sally, the super sex star. And I mean, being in that world, going through the nightclubs as I did and all of that.
Right.
And how you're told to smile. People insult you and you're told, what's happening to smile? You look too serious. Yes, right. Smile. And so I was focusing on the damage that had been done. Let's look at this. Why we have to fuss and fight on Monday. Why we have to not speak on Tuesday. Why we have to throw hot water on Wednesday. Why we have to cut up clothes on Thursday. Why we have to go upside your head on Friday. And how we got the nerve to carry it to Jesus to save what's left over on Sunday morning. And I'm saying the audience response from that was always right on it, because they knew exactly what I was talking about.
That's called bars, Nana. That's called bars when you drop the mic. Boom.
Oh, yep. Bars now, huh? Drop that mic. It was when it was refreshing. It was acknowledgement that I was saying the right thing, because when I said how we got, I don't think no less of him because he can't find a job. Now, this is in the time I was growing up. And I heard the audience say, right, And then there would be responses to all of the songs. The second album, which I produced, was because of the research, because of the closeness to the understanding that Africa, look at Africa right now. You go there and you see Chinese, you see Europeans, you see everyone in Africa taking
resources.
However, because when some years, 60s, 70s, 80s, we had great leadership in Africa. What happened? Most of them were killed because they were great leaders. They had Africa at their heart, and their energy was to do right by their people. But those who replace them are thinking about how great they are and how much money they can get. There was a film called Chedo. Usman Simbin, I think, was the producer of that film, which told about and showed how the different cultures, European cultures, came and undermined the African way of government. Right. And they brought in religions to do that. And it just said what happened, how the cultures of Africa were turned against themselves. And everybody loving Africa but us right now. But many of us. Because of the used to say brainwashing, but the conditioning, which made us turn against our own
culture.
We don't even want to say the word Africa anymore. I went to an event of thinkers, of writers, and I was talking to them. And then when I said talking about Africa, and they got quiet. And I said, what? Wow. Here we are, went through, I did a soap, I used to do some soap operas. I was one of the.
Wait. You're going to go into your acting? Because let me take a quick break, because I want to focus in on that too, on your acting part. Okay.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
All right. We'll take a quick break, you guys. We'll be back with Queen Mother, Nana Camille Yarbrough, right here on The Frequency.
We talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
A lot of stuff that we're not getting, you get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back to The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes, and our special guest, Nana Camille Yarbrough. Nana, I need to know, how did you get that name, Nana Camille? How was it given to you?
The more information, the closer I became to our African ancestry, the tradition, the values. I went to Ghana first. That was the first country I went to on the continent. And because I was working at City College, Dr. Leonard Jeffries was the chairman there of Black Studies. I became closer to people who were born in the country.
Right.
And who came there as professors, or in the community, there are many African-born Africans who are here, and they have formed organizations here. There was a great teacher at City College, and who was among us, for all of us, named Dr. Clark, and John Clark, and he was at City College often. And one day I was coming to my apartment. I lived across the street from him. And outside of his building, there was a group of people. And as I walked through them, they recognized me from having seen me at City College. And I went in, and there was a Professor James Small there. And the apartment of Dr. Clark was packed. He was going through a ritual. He was being installed. He was being brought into the culture of the Ga people from Ghana. Mm-hmm. And I stood there and I watched the youth being served food. I watched the ritual that went on there. And I was very pleased, because it's something that I had read about, being Queen Mother or being in that country, on that continent. And when I left, I received a phone call from Professor Small, who said that the Ghanaian people, the Ga people, who were installing Dr. Clark, had asked him to call me, because they were presenting me to him and accepting me to be their Queen Mother. There's a certain very heralded, very honorable position, very influential position as the Queen Mother in all African cultures, in all African countries. Mm-hmm. So I had read about the position and the responsibilities of being a Queen Mother. And so I accepted that position in John Henry Clark's in his household, let's say.
And what are some of the responsibilities for that? You were saying.
Well, first you have to be you have to have a value system which is supportive of the community.
Right.
And
that's for you.
Yes, you have to be able to live that and to share it, not only with women, but with the whole community. I'm responsible for my behavior and the influence that I give. And so that was acceptable to me because that was my training. And we were brought up to have respect. We were not wealthy in my family, but we certainly had respect for the community, and we were helpful and inquiring, and I had to do my studies to know what I was talking about. And that's how I was given that position.
That's how you were given that title.
Yes. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I have to live a certain way.
Right.
Which is supportive of the community.
You made me think, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you made me think about the youth today and the fact that we don't have that type of responsibility to each other, I feel, especially in your hometown, in particular, Chicago, with the gun violence.
Yes.
You know, where people kill. What do you think the youth are missing today? Because we don't have that structure where we have that pride. I don't know what to say if the word pride. That we don't feel that responsibility to each other, or that sense of community is missing. Yes,
it is. And that's what I'm writing about in the book that I'm writing now. It has to do with respect. Yes, I'm writing a book now. And it leans on what we had talked about before, relationships. And there's a part of it that I opened the book talking about a mama came out of her bedroom holding up a small photograph. She held it with both hands, and standing in the hallway, she called me and my older brothers, Donald and Billy, to come and look at it. I was 10 years old. Billy was 13. Donald was 16. When we saw that photograph, at the same time, we all said a frightened, ooh. Mama didn't have to tell us who it was. We knew. We had never seen the photograph before, but we knew. I remember saying, that's Daddy. Donald and Billy nodded. In the photograph, he looked younger but older, too. I knew it was him because of the look in his eyes. I really knew that look. Donald and Billy didn't say anything. They just kept staring at the photograph. Mama told us, yes, that's your father when he was 17 years old, when he left Alabama, then came here to Chicago to live better. When Mama told me that, I said to myself, I knew it. I knew it. I knew something had happened to him down in Alabama. Now, it goes on to talk about, I was upset because my father was violent. And there were things in our family that we didn't talk about, that we needed to talk about. I needed to know why. And so I decided at the age that I was 8 or 9 years old to find out what happened to my father. And as I found out what happened to him, I found out what happened to our people, the violence they had been through, and that they were still living through. And so it's the damage that has separated us from our value system. It's now, there used to be stories years ago, tradition that we would tell our children stories which had lessons in them. We don't get the lessons anymore. Everything now, and when I did the play To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, reading Lorraine Hansberry's, the writer's work, who wrote the play Raisin in the Sun. And then To Be Young, Gifted, and Black was a compilation of her works and made into that play. And they're talking about passing on generational values. And that you have the mother, you have the family present, and then you have the young. Something happened to the transition. Something happened to the transmission of information, of value systems, of respect. And so in the play, it says, we used to talk about freedom. Now we're talking about money. Huh?
Right.
Now we're talking about money, what we have.
Because the youth equate freedom with money. Money. Yes. Money is freedom.
And having things.
And I guess in a capitalist society,
that is pushed.
That would be the mindset.
Right. And the family values are not pushed, not spoken of. You don't see them on television anymore. And a lot of young people are not going to the churches. And the churches, some of the churches, huge churches, it's about money again. Right. And so the tradition of passing on respect to one another has diminished, has been taken out. And our children, they want the sneakers, they want the clothes, and the media, as it is sold to us, says this is how you are worth something. It depends on what you have, not who you are, not the value you carry, not the respect. There was tradition in Africa, and I was reading about it for a while. Some of it still exists. Is when you meet somebody, it takes you half an hour to greet each other. Because you have to talk about grandma. You have to talk about who's doing what in the world, who's doing what, and who's wrong and who's right. And then the other person talks. So it takes you half hour to get to the point where you said, how are you? You know, what's happening with you? We don't spend time anymore, especially now we have the thing, we're looking at the telephone, we're not looking at each other. But basically, when you want to make a people weaker, you take their culture from them. And I've learned what culture among all people, now I'm talking about African and traditional.
Right.
Your culture is your anchor that keeps you from drifting in life, because your culture informs you. It gives you a system of respect, of what is important, what is not as important. Your culture is your, what is the compass? Because it can point you to the way to go. And it's, again, that anchor and that compass. Your culture is the spiritual engine that holds the power that takes you forward. Our children are missing their anchor because everything in the world, and frequently I hear young people say, everybody's doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But where's the value there? That everybody agrees to it. So you have to have a something that holds you, that gives you a foundation. And that has been stripped from us, not completely, but it has, just as on the plantations when they separated us, don't trust the older people because they don't like you. Now, I heard that in my growing up. Don't trust the man because he will do you wrong. Don't trust the woman because she will. So they systematically turned us against each other.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer so they can control. It's a system of control. And there's a thing that I've written about bullies. We are in the presence of a master bully right now, and many who are in love with that style, that behavior. You bully somebody and you take from people. You don't respect them. And that's who we're in, a world of bullies right now. Not everybody, but and so we really have to come together as a people. And I'm in the piece that I wrote about the photograph, showing the photograph, that inspired me to do the research to find out what happened to my father.
Right.
And so in doing that, I had to grow first as a person. I'm in show business. My value system saved my life many times. You understand? You have that because I'm a Black woman. They in this system, I was working in nightclubs. First, they didn't understand why I wasn't cursing. They didn't understand why I wasn't selling myself because it's a Black woman. And that expression, spoken by white men, you want me. No, I didn't want them. But that was the thing that was, you're supposed to behave that way. And if you don't, then they try to put you in positions which are uncomfortable, positions which they can use against you. So as a female, you have to protect yourself from that. And that's where that anchor comes in. If you have an anchor which is built in traditional respect and a value system of doing, I'm so in love with my parents because they told us, don't lie, don't steal, don't disrespect, respect yourself. How often do our young people hear that now? We who know better have a responsibility to bring it back. We're asking young people to live a life that they've never seen. They've never seen what we have been through as we relate to one another.
Right.
It was there was something about, who was it? This artist who comes more from the other world, the sex trade kind of business, rather than the kind of business that you were taught the value system of being an actor, of being on the screen, of being visual, of being a person who speaks. What do you say? You have a responsibility to do that which lifts people, not separates them. And so you have these shows where this wives from so-and-so, and they're fussing at each other and cursing. And our children see that. They don't see what I saw. They don't see the kind of respect that I grow up with. Yes, people at times were fighting or drinking or under that kind of pressure. But basically, there was a respect in the community. And our children don't see that because we've been taken into another world where we value things more than people, more than and this has to be changed. We have to work to change it.
You said it. Oh my God, we value things more than we value people. That right there. I mean, we need to get back to that. You're absolutely right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about your writing, more about your acting, and more about the values that we're missing in the community. We'll be back right here in The Frequency with Nana Camille Yarbrough.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money make this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Back right here in The Frequency with your host, Dee Barnes, and our special guest, Nana Camille Yarbrough. Excuse me, Queen Mother, Nana. Sorry about that. You gave me, I've never been this quiet during an interview because I'm listening to everything you're saying, and it is resonating with me so much. The reason I called the show The Frequency is because I wanted to have conversations that were at a higher vibration and not that low vibrational clickbait type of thing. And you are really dropping a lot of knowledge right now, and I'm so grateful to have you. Your career is just amazing. I mean, it's like you were born to be this artist. And I really didn't, we only talked a little bit about your acting, but I know you traveled with a group that performed the Young, to be Young, Gifted, and Black.
Yeah. The first...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
When I was coming out of Chicago, what took me out of Chicago was that I auditioned for the company, the Katherine Dunham Company of Dancers, Singers, and Musicians. Today, we have the Alvin Ailey Company, which is the big company that travels, that you hear a lot about. We were not in movies the way we are today, and on television the way we are. The Katherine Dunham Company was on Hollywood. They were in the films. And so that's where I began to appreciate the culture, because that company, I didn't realize that we had been in Mexico, but then I sang the song in that company, La Bamba. And therefore, I had to find out that, yes, we had been in Mexico for years and had a great influence on the culture there. Of course, in Brazil, in Argentina, in all over the world, I'm finding out about our people. So that's where lots of knowledge came from, and an understanding of how difficult it is. And it was for Katherine Dunham to start that company, to start a school in New York City, focusing on Africa and that and the culture and everything involved, not just the dance, but what does the dance mean? What does this dance mean in Ghana? This movement, it means unity. It means unity. If you do this and this, no matter what happens, we will stay together. So the culture teaches also, and it brings together. When you lose those language, we do this all the time. I asked one of the Ghanaian artist teachers about this, and he says, "I'm bringing you to me. I'm bringing you to me. And if things go well, I will embrace you. But if things go bad, you're out of here." So with the dance, they're talking also. And when I was in Ghana, and they had the Grand Durbar, and the Asante Hene, the king of, let's say, the Ga people or the Asante people, was there. When I saw him, I was watching him being brought in on a palanquin, being carried in with the drums and all of that going. And I saw him do this. He was bringing the people from this side, bringing the people from that side. And then he did this. And we're doing this now in the film. That was just said. Yeah, but it's Black Panther. Yes, I'm bringing my people to me. I'm bringing my people to me, and I embrace them. So our movement is teaching. That's something. Now, what kind of movement we're doing? Whatever. Now, what does it teach us? Okay. So now,
I'm not going to comment on that.
Going from, that's part of the background with the Dunham Company, learning what the movements meant, what the rituals meant, all of that. But then later on, going into acting, of course, I wanted to go into something that was Afrocentric and that talked about our culture. So I was in the public theater. I did a couple of plays there written by people of African ancestry. And then I said, to be Young, Gifted, and Black was auditioning. So I auditioned and went into that play. And it was, Lorraine Hansberry was brilliant how she put the generation together. So you saw what was happening generationally. But then when I went on tour, it closed at the Cherry Lane Theater in New York, and it went on tour. We went to 56 cities. And I remember once in Detroit, after the shows, the cast would go down and meet the audience who has waited for us to come. Right. And I went, and one day there was a sister, an elder at that time, came to me, and we shook hands. And she said, "Today, I feel like I am somebody because of what was said in that play about our family." Okay. So I was keeping notes on all the tour. And by the time I came back to New York, I wrote an article, gave it to the producer of To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, who took it to the New York Times. That was my first published article.
Wow.
Because you have to use everything. That opportunity to tell our story was there. I went on. I'm sorry.
Speaking of the tradition, I'm sorry, you made me think about one of your most famous works, Cornrows.
Yes, another time.
And that's about tradition.
It's tradition and the power of family and the power of generational passing down. That's something I wanted to mention before we go. But that, again, sisters helping sisters. I was doing my poetry. I was just started writing and doing, open mic kinds of things. And I went to a place in Harlem, which is no longer there. But it was a fundraiser. So we were fundraising for something. So people would come and I went there to speak or whatever. And as I came into the building, I saw these marvelous paintings, drawings. And the Carol Bayard was the illustrator.
The illustrator, yes.
Yes. And I met her and I said, if I'm doing something, I'm certainly going to come back to your work. Well, I also met, coming into that, was another writer, Alice Childress, who had written books and done plays, and she was a marvelous human being. And so that's the first time I met her. Later on, I received a letter, about 6 months later. I received a letter from Random House publishers, and they said she had told an editor there, an editor had asked her about different writers, younger writers. And she had put my name on the list, she said. Now, I'm saying this because you get an opportunity, just as when I went on the road to be on Gifted and Black, the producer at the bus, before we left, said, why don't you take notes? I took notes. From the notes, I wrote an article. Now I go and I meet Alice Childress. 6 months later, she puts a sister helping sisters. She put my name on a list at Random House. I went there with poetry. They said, what are these? I said, those are cornrows. It was a poem about cornrows. And he asked me, can you write this from the viewpoint of an 8-year-old? And that's how the book came about. But it also came about because I was sick and tired of people laughing at our hair. We can get into water. We can swim. Let it go. Let it go to natural. Have a real fro. But don't be ashamed of our hair. And so I gave it roots. What are our roots? The cornrows are the closest to the scalp. They don't go way up. They hug. They embrace the scalp. And so I said, let me write about that and write about the tradition of naming things, naming people, naming values. And so you can braid it, under braid it, over braid it, upward braid it, down braid in circles, braid in angles. And you wear it like a crown. Bet. And so that's what it is about. And you can name it Robeson, you can name it Malcolm, you can name it Dr. King, you could name it, and then I named the women. You can name your hair. So when you walk, child, you carry your crown, name for someone, for something that is important, that anchors you.
There you
so
go.
That's how that came about. But
that is the anchor right there. That is the anchor right there.
Yes.
We're going to take our last break.
It has frequency.
It does have frequency.
It has frequency in it.
You're absolutely right. It does have frequency. All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to wrap it up with you. We are so blessed to have you. Oh my goodness. We'll be back, y'all. The frequency.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Right here, back on the frequency with Griot, performance artist, author, writer, singer, composer, actress, Renaissance woman, Queen Mother, Nana Camille Yarbrough. It's been such an honor to have you on today. You dropped so much knowledge, so much jewels for us. Even the catchphrase with the frequency, because you really elevated the conversation. You made me think a lot too, like how we can get those values and traditions back.
We Go ahead. Now, first, we have to start telling our children the story, our story. Don't let them shut it down. Just increase it, because our story is our power. Our superpower, our hidden power is in our culture, and we have to do that.
There we go. You just ended it with a perfect thing. Our strength, our superpower is in our culture.
That's right.
So we got to tell those stories. Thank you so much for being on with us. We appreciate you. We love you. I'm giving you all your flowers because you are amazing.
I'm pulling you in. I'm doing.
Yes, right back at you. Right back at you. Yes. Thank you for being the foremother of rap. For me as a rapper, as a hip hop kid.
Okay.
Such an honor. Such an honor. And now I'm going to have to write something about you now. Now that's going to be my next. That's going to be the next thing I'm a kid. You inspired me. You inspired me so much, you guys. You inspired me.
You being there and on the station that you're on, the programming, you're proof of our power. You understand me? Thank you.
I understand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
May I mention the book?
Oh, please do.
The book that's going to come out will be named Does It Always Have to Come Out Mad? Okay. Then there's a picture of me saying no, but it takes time to heal. And in the story, there's an approach to understanding the damage that has been done to us as a people that we're not handling. It's growing generationally. We're handing down the damage, and we can't do that anymore. Acknowledge it. When we come together, don't just party. You know what I mean? We have to heal.
We have to heal.
Ritual, not party. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for those words of wisdom. Whew, wisdom right here. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding with the Queen Mother. I'm telling you guys, you got to respect your elders and listen to what they're saying, because you can really get some knowledge. And I'm just so grateful and honored to have her on today. And I hope you guys learned something too. All right. Catch you next time on The Frequency.